Hello, my friends. I've got a question sent to me about two by two holidays. It's a good question. Two by twos claim they're Christians, so do they have any Christian holidays? Well, the short answer is no, they do not. The only thing that will qualify as holidays for a two by two are its conventions and its special meetings. And special meetings, of course, is just a full Sunday of listening to two by two ministers uh, read platitudes at you in a hall, rented hall, and so that, and probably in eating lunch, of course, your own bag lunch that you brought when you sit there with your families and other families, and of course the conventions, which are again Wednesday night to Sunday afternoon. You at a rural location, and a couple hundred people usually, or more, or less in some areas, and listening to talks by these two by two ministers and eating food that's you don't have to pay for, and staying on in the premises, usually in your own camper or in some sort of rustic accommodations that are there, maybe a common sort of bunk hall of same sex sort of thing. That's it. That's all there is for two by two holidays. Now, you may find some two by twos who say that they celebrated certain holidays. So let's go through some of them that they may have celebrated. And this is not norm, of course. This is just, we'd say, the more uh, liberal-minded two by twos. Okay, so what sort of holidays might they be celebrating? Well, Mother's Day. They might give a card to their mothers on Mother's Day. They might celebrate the national holidays. So in the United States, the 4th of July, so sort of thing like that. And it wouldn't be a big celebration. They wouldn't go to any events or anything like that, but they might, if they're in town and there was a parade that day, they might stop and watch the parade. That's about it. They would never participate in the parade. They would never participate in anything of these forms, but they would maybe be a spectator. Um, well, what about some of the other, very serious holidays or holy days, as their original word comes from, in our calendar? So we're talking here maybe Christmas, Easter, All Souls Day, All Saints Day, sort of thing. You know, they don't celebrate it at all. Okay. I have yet to meet a two by two who even knew what the holiday of Easter is, or they have no idea. For a two by two, they think of if they celebrate Easter, which is highly unlikely, but if you find one of these liberal ones that celebrate it, what they did was it was the painting of Easter eggs and maybe hiding them in the house and maybe eating some chocolates that their parents put out or they put out for the kids or whatever. Um, that's it. That's what Easter is to a two by two. Chocolate bunnies and Easter eggs. That's it, right? I don't know if the people are even aware that Easter is the most important Christian holiday of the entire calendar. In fact, it's not just Easter; it's considered Holy Week, Semana Santa in Spanish, and it extends from the Sunday before Easter until the Sunday of Easter, Easter Sunday, right? So how does it roll out? First is Palm Sunday, which is again the week before. And then you have Holy Monday, Holy Tuesday, Tenebrae on Wednesday. You have Maundy Thursday or Holy Thursday, depending how you say it. Good Friday. And on Saturday evening, you have the Easter Vigil. That's at sundown Saturday. And then on Sunday morning, you have Easter Sunday. And many of those days are obligatory attendance at church if you're in a liturgical denomination, which is again about 75% of the world's Christians are liturgical. So yeah, that's a pretty big deal, and that's why Easter and the Holy Week is in the calendars in our countries in Europe and in North America and South America. But 2x2s don't know any of that. They have no idea what we're even talking about. And why is it so important? Because Holy Week is Jesus's passion, right? On Palm Sunday, Jesus enters the city of Jerusalem. Then we go through his trials in the gardens, his arrest, and then the trial under Pontius Pilate, and then his scourging and torturing, and then his walk to the Golgotha, and then his crucifixion on Friday, and then his rising from the dead on 3 days, which is 3 Jewish days. So that worked out to be Saturday night in our Christian calendar, and or Sunday morning, however you want to think about it. And as Ascension, his rising from the dead, and of course he's not ascending into heaven until the Pentecost. Right? No, sorry, quite a few. I think 60 days later or something. I'm sorry, I don't remember that. But the issue is this Passion Week, or sorry, Holy Week, is the most important Christian holidays of the calendar, and and the ultimate day in that, of course, is Easter Vigil on Saturday evening, being the most important, and Easter Sunday kind of a secondary one. And the reason, and you should know this, like in the ancient church, people were baptized on the Saturday Easter Vigil. That was because it was the most important service of the entire year, right? But Christians, 2x2s don't know anything about this. Now, of course, Pentecost, which is another very important Christian holiday, which was the Holy Spirit coming down to the apostles. Christians don't even know what this word means. This is a major holy day in the Christian calendar, right? We have, of course, Christmas Day, another very important holiday. It's not the most important holiday, despite what people think. It's not. And everyone acknowledges, Christians acknowledge, that it's a sort of a placeholder day in the calendar, because we don't know when Jesus was born, right? We don't know. So this is put there. And for, it basically covers a famous pagan holiday that happened at the same time, but it's good to celebrate Jesus' birthday, and this day is as good as any day to celebrate it. But more importantly, in the 40 days that lead up to Christmas, this is called Advent in the Christian calendar. Now, again, 2x2s have never heard of this, but Advent means the coming of. So the coming of Jesus to be born, or the second coming of Jesus. You don't know. As you're going to Advent season, you don't know. Advent is both a penitential season and celebratory season, right? So but again, 2x2s don't know anything about this. And when we get to Christmas Day, of course, 2x2s, they don't celebrate at all. Most 2x2 families I knew did not give any gifts. They didn't do anything different that day as the day before. It was pretty horrible for kids who went to school with children, and especially in North America, where giving gifts and Santa Claus and Christmas trees is in a highly commercialized Christmas, is really something, ostracizes you as a child if your family's not participating in that. But anyways, in heavily Catholic countries, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, and South America, Christmas is not a commercialized holiday. It's a very religious holiday, right? Where the birth of baby Jesus is celebrated, and that's why the whole idea of midnight mass, because Jesus is born on Christmas Eve at midnight, the breaking between the two days, and people attend it. It's very, very common to do that. And maybe you give a little tiny gift to someone in your family, but there's no major gift giving. In fact, there's no Christmas trees even. It's really a thing with what's called a creche, which is like a nativity scene, and placing the small baby Jesus in the nativity scene at midnight between Christmas Eve and Christmas. Again, 2x2s never heard of any of this. Okay, nothing. The day after Christmas, which is called St. Stephen's Day, is a very important holiday in Christian calendar, because St. Stephen is the first martyr to be killed, first Christian martyr. Now, obviously, St. Stephen's Day is not celebrated in North America, but it is celebrated in all of Europe, except for the British Isles, where they call it Boxing Day. But yeah, it's a very important holiday, not celebrated. Again, Christians, sorry, 2x2s don't even know what this word means. There are a lot of other minor holidays, that Christian holidays that people would celebrate. Particularly, depending on where you live, there's going to be a saint usually associated with your country or your city or your province, and the saint is, the saint's day has been celebrated for centuries usually, and it's always a day off from work, right? But for 2x2s, they wouldn't celebrate this. Now, in North America, there aren't really any particular saints' days, except for in some, maybe in Louisiana there might be one, or in Quebec or Newfoundland, I think they have a saints' day they celebrate. But more or less, it's not that common. Except so, again, nonetheless, the 2x2s, even in those provinces or states where, or countries in Europe, for example, or South America, where saints' days are celebrated and on the calendar, our national holidays, 2x2s do not celebrate them. So in all ways, 2x2s have put themselves completely outside of the, let's say, holiday cycle of the calendar of where they live. They're not participating. They're not participating with their neighbors. They live apart, and not apart in a good way. Why wouldn't you want to celebrate these holy days with your neighbors? These are Christian holy days that have been around, some of them obviously for 2,000 years. Why wouldn't you want to celebrate this? They don't. They don't. And I mean, that's one of the methodologies which the 2x2s keep themselves apart from their neighbors, which is, again, a major component of what a cult does. Right? So it's an awful thing to do to people who are being raised in this 2x2 group, to separate them from their community, by not even allowing them to celebrate holidays of purportedly the same religion that you do follow. That's absurd, right? But this is what the 2x2s have done, because for them, they're not Christians. They're just 2x2s.